Alright guys, we're back with more fantasy baseball content, and here, I'm going to help you go through your waiver wire to pick out the best and most important players you can add to your team. But first, I want to thank everyone for being back here and supporting the channel. We're on our way to the 5,000 subscriber goal for the end of April. We only have about a week left to hit it though, so if you guys are watching this and not subscribed to the channel, please go down there, click that big black button if you like what you're watching. Also, drop this video a like. Now let's get into it. The waiver wire in every fantasy baseball league is totally picked over right now. We're almost a month into the season. Most of the rising stars have been uncovered, added to either your team or your competitors' teams, and we're going to have to do a lot more digging to find the future studs this season. But there still are a lot of really exciting options out there and some guys who could become stars as the season progresses. And I heard you guys in the comments after last week's waiver wire video, and you guys liked the separate longer deep league segment plus another specific shallow league segment, so those will come at the end after the 10 names I'm going to tell you guys about. But the first of those 10 names is really exciting, and truthfully guys, he might be a budding ace, and that's Landon Roop, starting pitcher on the Giants. I've kind of fell in love with Roop during spring training because he has really nasty stuff and was working on some new pitches, and he's been pretty awesome this year with a 31% strikeout rate so far. But he does have an ERA that's still in the fours, and I think that's what kept him off people's radars and on the waiver wire in most leagues. He's coming off the best start of his career against the Angels last week, where he went 7 innings, struck out 9 batters, only gave up 1 walk, 2 earned runs, and forced 18 swings and misses, with 12 of those swings and misses coming on his curveball, and that pitch is nasty. He did benefit a bit in that start, 1 because the Angels are not very good, and 2 because the Angels have a very right-handed heavy lineup, and Roop is a right-handed pitcher who has a very east-west profile and throws his sinker and that curveball 80% of the time combined, making up 4/5 of his total pitches thrown so far this season. And really, because he is such a weird sidearmy kind of delivery guy with a very low arm slot, that curveball acts more like an exaggerated sweeper with way more horizontal movement than downward movement. So while the pitch is lethal, it doesn't play that well against left-handed batters. It still has been really good against them this year. He's throwing it 31% of the time against lefties. They don't have a hit on it yet, and it's forced over a 40% whiff rate. But against righties, that pitch is over a 60% whiff rate. It's already looking like one of the nastiest pitches in baseball so far this season. But again, he has found success with it this first time around the league because the pitch is such an outlier. It's so weird. It moves so weirdly, so unexpectedly out of his hand that it's hard for hitters on any side of the plate to catch up with. But the thing that's encouraged me the most about Roop, and the thing that made me so excited about him in spring training, is how he's developing some new pitches to better combat left-handed batters. He has much more confidence in his changeup, and that pitch gets a lot of run and has a lot of depth. Also, he showcased a new cutter during the spring, which can be a difference maker for him. It has a very unique movement profile compared to the rest of his pitches, again, as a very east-west guy, with that cutter kind of staying right in the middle with a little bit of lift on it, and is on his way to becoming a great wrinkle that will keep left-handed batters on their toes. The key for Roop, again, besides facing left-handed batters, is keeping his walk rate in check. It can go up and down a lot, and again, as an east-west guy, there's a lot of room to miss there, but almost no one in the league is forcing more swings and misses than Roop right now. And he's a big dude who can handle a starter's workload. He has a funky delivery, he has unique, strange, outlier pitches, and he has a great home ballpark and a great defense behind him. I'm very, very in on Roop, and I wouldn't let him be available in any league I'm playing in. Next up is Byron Buxton, outfielder on the Twins. Always the most important thing for Buxton is health, and he is healthy and playing some good ball right now. On top of being healthy, even in his 30s, all the premier physical tools that made Byron Buxton such an exciting player over the last few years are still present. He has some of the best bat speed in the league, still showcasing elite raw power. He's already hit the ball 112.5 miles an hour this season. He has some of the best hard hit rates and barrel rates for any hitter in the league as well. The power is still totally there with Buxton. On top of that, he's swinging at the right pitches, he's not chasing very often, he's attacking balls in the zone, he's playing lights out center field defense every single day, and right now, he is literally the fastest player in Major League Baseball in terms of average sprint speed. All of the tools that always made Buxton a super exciting player are present, and they're all on display right now, as he already has 4 home runs and 5 stolen bases on the young season. But with that, all the same flaws that have always stopped Buxton from reaching his superstar potential are still there as well. He's still swinging and missing a ton, he's striking out nearly 30% of the time, he's not drawing any walks. Those things are always going to pull down Buxton's floor rather than his ceiling, because there will be prolonged cold stretches with that plate approach. And you're always just waiting for the other shoe to drop with Buxton. Can he stay healthy? Is he going to wind up getting hurt? Likely. But when he is healthy, like he is right now, he is playing at a 30 homer, 30 steal pace, and that's worthwhile in almost every single fantasy league. Next up is Kumar Rocker, starting pitcher on the Rangers, and Rocker has had a very rocky start to his season. Set some big blow-ups and some really ugly starts, and that's pushed his ERA very, very high, and certainly has made him available in most leagues. I myself have dropped him in a few places. But his last start was amazing, where he went 7 innings, struck out 8 batters, didn't walk anyone, only gave up 3 earned runs, and forced 15 swings and misses. That is against the Angels though, and good starts against bad teams have to be taken with a bit of a grain of salt. But the huge deal for Rocker is that in that start against the Angels, he brought his slider usage way back up. I mentioned Rocker last week in my video and said that I was worried about him, not because of how bad the stats were, but because he was going away from that slider, that real death ball thing he has that has this crazy depth, crazy downward movement. That is his difference maker. It's by far his best pitch. I couldn't figure out for the life of me why he wasn't throwing it as much this season. But in that start, he threw it nearly 3 times as much as any other pitch in his repertoire, and it forced about a 50% whiff rate and a 50% chase rate. It was totally lethal. Everything we've always expected it to be, it was there. Bang. He can ride that one pitch along with plus velocity on a fastball and sinker to an amazing season, because that pitch is really useful against hitters from both the right side and and the left side of the plate with that sharp downward movement it has. And he still has an ERA over 6. That means a lot of people in your leagues are ignoring Kumar Rocker and not noticing this huge pitch mix change that could really signify him having a nice run of success going forward. He probably still has to prove it to me in one more start in a 10-team league, but in a 12-team league, I'm jumping all over Rocker this week. Next up is Trevor Story, shortstop on the Red Sox. And with Story, it's very similar vibe to Buxton, where right now he's healthy and producing, and we love to see that. And what a turnaround's been over the first few weeks, where he looked just awful. He had a 2-homer, 6 RBI game last weekend against the White Sox, and on the season has 5 homers, 6 steals, and 860 OPS. That seems like the old Trevor Story. But the biggest thing for Story is that his power seems back. That's huge, because last year, when he played at the end of the year in a small sample size, the power was gone. His bat speed dropped under 69 miles an hour, which is well below league average. He had a near bottom of the league hard hit rate, and the hardest he hit a ball was 105 miles an hour. All those together told me that the power might have been gone for Trevor Story. But so far this season, which is basically the same 100 plate appearance sample size that he had to close last season, his bat speed is back up over 71 miles an hour, which still isn't quite league average, but is still totally fine, and his hard hit rate is near the top of the league at over 50%. Pitchers are giving him a very steady diet of breaking balls, and he's responding by hammering them. And again, similar to Buxton, the strikeouts are still high, the walks are still low. That's something that's probably never going to leave Story's game. And of course, 2019 Trevor Story is not walking through that door anytime soon, but he's hitting for power, he's running a lot, and every single day he's in the middle of a very talented Red Sox lineup who plays in Fenway Park, one of the best parks in all of baseball to hit in. That's a very worthwhile fantasy player in most leagues. Next up is Logan Henderson, starting pitcher on the Brewers. He was called up this past weekend and twirled a gem against the A's in his major league debut. He went 6 innings, struck out 9 batters, only allowed 3 hits, walked 1, and gave up 1 earned run. That was an amazing start, but I am a bit skeptical on how far his stuff can take him at the major league level. His fastball has a solid shape and great life and missed tons of bats to the top of the zone, but only sits around 92 or 93 miles an hour. So he's relying a lot on that shape and his command to miss bats. The command was good on Sunday, so it worked. But he doesn't really have a true breaking ball. His changeup is his out pitch, which is usually a big red flag for right-handed pitchers, because if you're a right-handed pitcher, your changeup will often play better against left-handed batters, where against right-handed batters, who you're seeing most of the time, you want a slider because something's breaking away from them, where changeups often break towards them. But Henderson was able to force 7 swings and misses on this changeup, and he was throwing it most of the time in the zone, which really caught my attention. And then looking into the changeup a little bit more, it has a chance to be a true outlier pitch. It averaged nearly 2,500 rotations per minute in his debut, and that's a ton of spin for a changeup. Devin Williams and Ryan Pepiot are the only qualified pitchers in the league to have a changeup that spin more than Henderson's, and those two have some of the best right-handed changeups in all of baseball, so that's a good sign right there. They both throw their changeups harder than Henderson does, but still, it's a good sign. We're moving in the right direction. And on top of that, the 18 inches of horizontal break that Henderson's changeup had on average in his debut would have ranked in the top 15 for all changeups in the league. This pitch is different than most changeups, and that has me believing that it can play up against hitters on both sides of the plate like it did in his debut. Bottom line, the pitch is very weird, and weird is good, because weird means players aren't used to it, and when hitters have to react to something they're not used to or not accustomed to, it makes it harder to hit. We love looking for outliers, and this Henderson changeup seems like an outlier. He's not a 10-team guy, definitely not yet, but I'm paying attention in 12-team leagues. I'm really looking forward to his next scheduled start. Next up, we have Zach Neto, shortstop on the Angels, and Neto was activated this past week, and he is ready to go. He crushed a 430-foot home run Sunday off of Justin Verlander, and earlier in that series against the Giants, laced a 106-mile-an-hour double off of Logan Webb and a 108-mile-an-hour line out against Randy Rodriguez, who's a bit unheralded, but one of the nastiest relievers in baseball. I had a lot of concern with Neto coming back from a shoulder injury in the offseason, because the shoulder injuries can really take away from a player's power, especially right when they come back. But it doesn't look like that's the case at all. Seeing Neto hit these balls so hard and the 430-foot home run his first few games back, the power's okay for Neto. I'm all in on Neto. He's also coming off an incredibly quiet 23-homer, 30-steal season last year as a 23-year-old, and if he keeps hitting, he'll be back on top of the Angels' slightly better lineup soon. I know the lineup's still not very good, but again, it's better than it was last year when he had those stats, especially if Mike Trout stays healthy. And Neto should truthfully be rostered everywhere. To me, he's already a fringe top 10 shortstop. Next up is Clay Holmes, starting pitcher on the Mets. And Holmes just looks more and more comfortable every single time he toes the rubber. On Sunday, against the Cardinals, he completed 6 innings for the first time since he's returned to the starting rotation. And he struck out 6 Cardinals, only gave 1 earned run in that game, and was really in complete control throughout. Also a huge deal for Holmes, he only walked 2 batters. And that's now the 3rd time in his last 4 starts where he's only walked 2 batters. A big step forward from the first couple starts he had. And the biggest key for Holmes as he transitioned from the bullpen to the rotation was widening his repertoire. He developed his new kick changeup in spring training and showed some serious potential, but was very erratic out of the gate. The pitch is still pretty erratic, don't get me wrong, but now it's been 2 starts in a row for Holmes where that was his most thrown pitch against left-handed batters, which was the whole reason he developed that pitch all along. And in that start on Sunday against the Cardinals where Holmes completed 6 innings, that was the best command he's had in that changeup by far all year. He nailed his spot low and on the outside corner more than a handful of times against their left-handed batters, and they had very little chance to hit it. That pitch is also 91 miles an hour with some serious depth, and flashes being a true plus-plus offering. On top of that, I can see his confidence growing with that pitch because he continues to throw it in more diverse counts. He's used it a bit in the beginning of counts, he's He's used it as a put-away pitch, used it a lot when he's ahead, and he's even been able now to use it and locate it and spot it when he's behind in the count. Again, showing me how confident he is growing in his ability to execute that pitch. If that pitch can work, it really ties everything together because he still has a nasty sinker, he has a crazy sweeper, he has a good tight slider, he's been using all of those. He flashes the cutter sometimes, which is another pitch he's been developing to get lefties out. It's not there yet, it kind of comes and goes. He also has his four-seam fastball, which objectively, shape-wise, not a good pitch, but he's really starting to figure out when to use that pitch late in the count to sneak up on hitters, work it up in the zone, and get a swing and miss when they're expecting one of these slow pitches. His velocity is still going up and down a bit too. It's still getting to that 95-ish range, but sometimes it goes down to 91. It's really important for Holmes to stay in that 93, 94, touching 95 range, especially with that fastball. But I'm so encouraged by everything overall. He's getting tons of strikeouts, tons of ground balls, not that much hard contact. The Mets have an amazing home park to pitch in. They have a great defense and a great lineup to support him. This is the makings of a dude. And there's a good chance that people who were really in on Holmes in draft season when all the helium went crazy dropped him after a first few not so good starts. He's back on a lot of waiver wires. Pick him up as soon as you can. Now, next up, we have Chandler Simpson, outfielder on the Rays. And truthfully, guys, he might be the most fascinating player that plays in Major League Baseball this entire year because his profile is so extreme and so interesting, it's just really ridiculous. If you guys are playing in any rotisserie or categories leagues, get him right now. Don't even listen to what I have to say. Get him right now. He could potentially be a league winner in the stolen base category. There's a chance that we haven't seen a player as prolific on the bases as Simpson is in a very, very long time. Last season, between high A and double A, he stole 104 bases. Yes, you heard me right. 104 bases in 110 games. And the year before, he stole 94 bases. So he's almost stolen 200 bases over his last 2 minor league seasons. 200 bases. That's Ricky Henderson stuff. It's otherworldly speed and base stealing ability, and he is so fast that he can literally beat out a ground ball on almost any part of the entire field. He's a freak of nature. And with that athleticism, he plays a plus center field. He can get everything back there. But truthfully, I'm not really sure he can hit at the major league level. He had 355 batting average in the minors last year, but I really think that's mostly speed based because, again, he is beating out routine ground balls. He put 67 balls in play so far this season at AAA, and the hardest one he hit was just 105 miles an hour, showing some real lackluster power. He also had only 3 total of those batted balls over 100 miles an hour. There's a genuine chance he hits no major league home runs this season. So that definitely leaves the potential of him just being the reincarnation of Billy Hamilton, which again, in certain leagues, category rotisserie leagues, Billy Hamilton was a game changer there. But low average, no power, bunch of steals, how valuable is that really? The other thing I will say about Simpson though, that he's a contact machine. He hits every single thing in the zone. He hit leadoff in his debut on Saturday for the Rays against a right-handed pitcher because he's a left-handed batter. And he also smacked a double off of Devin Williams during the Rays' huge comeback against the Yankees in the 9th inning of that game. I'm also a little bit worried that he goes back to the minor leagues when the Rays outfielders get healthy again because it did take a lot of injuries for him to get this shot. But in the meantime, he's going to make tons of contact and steal bases every single chance he gets. You pick him up now, and you hope for the upside. You figure the rest out later. In category leagues, points leagues, he's a hard ignore. Now, last up on the big list is Matthew Liberatore, starting pitcher on the Cardinals. And I'm really impressed by Liberatore. He's quietly turned himself into a very functional starting pitcher over the last few years. He's a 3.6 ERA and 1.00 whip after a very nice start against the Mets over the weekend. And he's doing this all on the back of an exceptional slider. He uses it as his primary pitch. It hits 86 miles an hour and has some really nice just tight gyro movements. So he can play it against both lefties and righties. Really good pitch for him. But the key for Liberatore that's made him an acceptable starting pitcher is that he's built off a nice repertoire off of that slider. He mixes a fastball, a sinker, a changeup, a cutter, and a curveball all off the bottom of that very nice slider on top. And really, it's just a kitchen sink mentality for him after that amazing slider. In that start against the Mets, he threw all 6 of his pitches at least one time as the first pitch of an at-bat. He's comfortable with all of them, and while none of them are really that good besides that slider, his willingness to throw many different of them in many different counts will always keep hitters on their toes, and he has that slider he can always execute and make a big pitch with. I like Liberatore. He has the makings of a solid starting pitcher. Again, someone who plays in a good home ballpark with good defense behind him. You guys see that as a trend when I'm evaluating these pitchers to pick up off the waiver wire, and Liberatore checks those boxes. 12-team leagues, I want him on my squad to stream in the right matchups. All right, guys, now that's the end of the big list, but now we have a couple more sections to go where I'm going to rapid fire go through a lot of players very quickly. The first of those sections being guys you should be looking at in shallower leagues who should not be this widely available. Some of them are going through some slow starts and have been dropped, but still have big potential to be quality players the rest of the season. Or they've had hot starts and people still don't believe in them. A lot of guys have even talked about in some of my past videos this season, and you really should be thinking about scooping them up because, again, I don't know why their rostership rates are so low. The first of which being Wilson Contreras. Why does he have 60% roster rate? He's probably a top 5 catcher the rest of the season. Next up is Drew Rasmussen, 47% roster rate. The guy's completely nasty on the Rays. He looks disgusting. Right now, stuff-wise, he might be like a top 30 pitcher in the league. Under 50% is crazy. Same with Dustin May at 45%. He's a legit starter on the Dodgers, nasty stuff. Pitching kind of deep in the games, 5-6 innings. You want that guy on your team. Then there's JJ Bleday, still playing every single day, heating up a bit after a slow start. Real power, some speed, great park to hit in, good lineup around him. Max Meyer, I've talked about him on so many videos so far. Super legit pitcher, amazing slider with the Marlins. Can't figure out why he's under 30% rostered. Then you have Michael Busch, first baseman on the Cubs, 5 homers, 16 RBIs. Why is he 25% rostered in ESPN right now? Same goes for Ryan Pepio, starting pitcher on the Rays. He's had one really bad start, it balloons his ERA, still missing tons of bats, still love this stuff. Kind of like Pepio's like a top 40 starting pitcher rest of the season. Shouldn't be this scarcely rostered. Same with his teammate Jonathan Ronda, first baseman on the Rays. Some of the best underlying power metrics in the entire league and producing at a high clip. One of the highest OPSs in the league, under 25% rostered. Doesn't make sense to me. Then we have Clark Schmidt, starting pitcher on the Yankees, activated, healthy, and good. No reason he should be under 20% rostered. Same goes for Grant Holmes. A bit of a tough start to the season, had some really hard matchups out of the gate with the Padres and Dodgers. He's a legit pitcher with a couple different breaking balls, pitching every 5th day in the Braves. 15% rostered is ridiculous. Same with Reese Olson, 8% rostered. Good starting pitcher, easily in my top 50 still in the Tigers. Bit of a slow start, but he's a command guy. Command waxes and wanes. I love Reese Olson. And lastly, David Festo, only 3% rostered. I know it's because he's not pitching very deeply into games. Twins are barely letting him see hitters for a third time, but 3% rostered, he's striking out tons of guys and not giving up any runs. He can be valuable in the right matchup in 12-team leagues, and his next start is scheduled to come against the White Sox. Great matchup to stream him in. Now next we have the stash list. Guys who are rehabbing off the injured list or minor leaguers that should get called up soon. First two being Nick Kurtz and Roman Anthony. Studs, monsters, destroying AAA right now. Crazy power. Anthony's got speed. Kurtz has got great plate discipline. Anthony's got pretty good plate discipline too. When these guys come up, they could be stars right away. Then Jack Leiter making a rehab start this week off a blister that's kept him out for a few weeks. Probably back after that one start, nasty. Brian Bayo working his way back with the Red Sox. Keep an eye on him. Talked about Joe Boyle a lot last week, starting pitcher on the Rays. Was nasty in his season debut. Got sent back down to the minor leagues. The Rays have a very oft-injured pitching staff, and Joe Boyle is next in line if anything was to happen to any of their starting 5. Then we have Hayden Birdsong on the Giants. Really good stuff. Shout him out in my pitcher breakout video before the season. He's pitching very well in short samples out of the pen, and Jordan Hicks is struggling mightily in the rotation. And Justin Verlander's old. There could always be an injury. Like Hayden Birdsong will get a shot soon, and when he gets a shot, I don't think he's going to give that spot up. Then you have Tobias Myers and Tony Gonsolin, each on rehab assignments. We'll be back with the Brewers and Dodgers soon. Hyun Kim also on the Dodgers. Power speed threat at AAA. Probably gives them a little bit more flexibility, athleticism than some of the guys in the bottom of their roster right now, like Andy Pages, Chris Taylor, Kike Hernandez. Good chance that Hyun Kim gets a shot soon. Then this was for the tickler file. Yuri Perez. Superstar phenom starting pitcher on the Marlins. He's about a month away from starting a rehab assignment. If you guys have very deep leagues, if you guys have an open IL spot, take a shot on Perez. Stash him. It's probably a slow buildup. He's probably not giving you a lot of workload, but he is so good. He could be a top 20 pitcher when he's healthy once he gets to that workload. Clayton Kershaw is rehabbing as well. He's not going to be the old Clayton Kershaw, but I'm sure he'll get some strikeouts and pitch to good ratios. Lucas Giolito's on his way back soon too, but I don't think he's very good, honestly. I'm not stashing him, but if you guys want to, I'm not going to stop you. And lastly, Hunter Dobbins on the Red Sox. Made a really good spot start on Friday. Got sent back down to the minor leagues. Has major league stuff. I trust that stuff, and I think he will get another shot soon. Might be worthy of a stash in the right deep league. Speaking of deep leagues, now I'm going to run through a ton of my favorite deep league targets right now, so get ready. A lot of names quickly. Austin Hayes had a huge weekend for the Reds. A lot of that was damage he did off position players hitting, but he's hitting in the middle of a lineup every day in the Reds in a great home ballpark. Luis L. Ortiz shot him out last week. 10 strikeouts in his last 2 starts, working that color. Nasty stuff on the Guardians. David Peterson, the Mets, solid but unspectacular. Pretty deep repertoire, just looks good every 5th day. Good pitcher to have in a deep league. Connor Norby was just activated by the Marlins. Power speed, playing every day. Jake Irvin, big curveball, streaky, hot right now. Good streamer with the Nationals, starting pitcher. Tyler Mahle on the Rangers. Right now, the stats are crazy. An 0.63 ERA and a whip that's like 0.7. I don't think he's that good. Of course, he's not that good. I like the fastball shape right now, but those stats are a mirage. Keep an eye on Mahle. He's probably taken already most of your deeper leagues, but I think he's worth a mention. I really still don't like him in shallow leagues. It's just kind of a wonky profile, getting a lot of bad ball luck. Luke Keeschel was called up by the Twins this past weekend. He doesn't really have a defensive home, so I'm scared he gets sent back down kind of quickly. But there's enough in his skill set to see a guy who might go 20-20 if he gets the requisite playing time. Then you have Griffin Canning, starting pitcher on the Mets. Keeps looking better and better. Missing lots of bats with all 3 of his pitches, but they're not really letting him see that many hitters a third time. He did it in his last start against the Cardinals, but he was really cruising in that one. Again, Canning could be a good deep league streamer with good matchups. Next is Augustin Ramirez, catching prospect in the Marlins, who was just announced he's being called up. He could be a shallow league guy. He has actual legit power, hit the ball 115 miles an hour, and some speed, stealing bases as a catcher in the minor leagues. But some leagues, he's not catcher eligible. He might just be first base eligible. I'm only picking him up if I can use him at catcher. I also just don't know what his usage is going to be yet because he hasn't played the game at the time recording this video. Then Mitch Keller, starting pitcher on the Pirates, quietly developed a kick change of his own during the spring, and it's just a quality innings either. Similar for Mitchell Parker, big lefty starting pitcher on the Nationals. Curveball and splitter, misses some bats, a bit inconsistent. It's a big lefty trying to figure out his mechanics, start in, start out, but there's something here. And Luis Angel Acuna, second baseman, probably shortstop eligible in some place on the Mets. His value is going to be hurt a little bit because it seems like Jeff McNeil, also a deep league guy here, is going to be activated this week. But Acuna's been fun, man. He's holding his own with the bat. He's playing great defense, up to 7 stolen bases already. There's a chance he can still find his way onto the field if Jeff McNeil plays some outfield, or if Acuna can go out and play some center field for the Mets. He's worth a look in deep leagues. There's something happening here. Same with Jose Iglesias, eligible at second and third base, playing every day, hitting for a high average with the Padres. Same with Gavin Sheets, hitting for power every single day in the middle of a Padres order. Then you got Ben Brown, starting pitcher on the Cubs. A lot of strikeouts, a lot of walks, big stuff. If he can rein it in, suddenly you're looking at someone that's very interesting with a plus fastball, legit velocity, and a power curve. Then Caleb Durbin, another player that was called up this week. So many call-ups this week. He's going to be the everyday third baseman on the Brewers. It's a heavy contact, heavy stolen base profile. Again, that doesn't really play that well in shallow leagues, but in a deep league, worth it for some stolen base upside and everyday playing time. Then last few here, JT Ginn on the Athletics, showing some more velocity, getting tons of ground balls, missing bats. Seems like a whole new pitcher and someone that should have your attention. Alec Thomas on the Diamondbacks, he's playing really well in a small-time role right now, and Jake McCarthy is still getting everyday reps and has like a 400 OPS. When that playing time switches, Thomas will be a must-add in almost all formats. Then you have Gabriel Arias, second baseman, third baseman, sometimes even shortstop eligible in the Guardians, plus bat speed, legit power. He's showing it off right now. Best he's ever played, 25 years old. Could be a bit of a late bloomer, also still swinging and missing a ton. Could get really cold soon. Worth it for the tools. Then Thomas Sajacy on the Cardinals. Mason Wynn is due back this week. That could really hit Sajacy's playing time, but he's been almost hitting too well for him to take out of the lineup. I'm curious to see what the Cardinals do with that. Last few, Andrew Abbott, starting pitcher on the Reds, getting tons of strikeouts, fastballs, a lot of life, but I never really liked Abbott. I don't like the profile. I don't like the pitches. Big fly ball guy in one of the worst parks to allow fly balls. There's going to be a bad blow up there soon. I don't want in my lineup when that blow up comes. And now quickly, guys, I'm going to run through some players you can drop to make room in your roster for a lot of these guys I'm talking about. First up being Grayson Rodriguez, elbow, shoulder problem, seeking a second opinion on MRIs. You don't really want a second opinion. That means the first opinion was bad. This could wind up being a situation where Grayson misses the whole year, if not most of it. Brandon Marsh in the Phillies hit the IL and he just kind of stinks. I've talked about Ronel Blanco and Tanner Houck a few times on this channel. They're just not missing enough bats to really be viable. I know Houck just had a good start, but guys, Houck, if you watch these videos, you know I'm not a fan of Houck, especially in a 10-team league. Get him out of here. Same kind of goes for Jordan Hicks right now. Someone I've been really back and forth on this season. The stuff is good. I want him to succeed, but it's been some really laborious starts recently. And they have Birdsong waiting in the wings, like I mentioned. There's a chance that Hicks gets bumped at some point. I don't want him on my roster for when that happens. I'm also kind of out on Jose Barrios right now. It's just not missing bats. Stuff isn't that good. A lot of smoke and mirrors, a lot of junk. Can be good in a deep league. Definitely good in good matchups, but I'm not rostering him in the 10-team or probably even some 12-team leagues. Same right now for Jordan Walker. The tools are amazing, but he just can't do it consistently. He's just not good enough at finding the production. Also, everyone's favorite pickup for a few weeks ago, Kyron Paris, stuck in 0 for 11 slump. Got benched on Sunday. Again, 10-team league. I don't know if he's that viable. I know everyone's picking him up a couple weeks. I know the power's more legit. The speed's there. Category 10-team league, yeah, hold on to him. But the points league, he's someone I consider dropping already. Same with two other guys here, Anthony Volpe and Jackson Holiday. It's just not really clicking right now. Holiday's falling into a platoon. And a guy like Volpe, I'd rather have a guy like Neto if you can make that swap. He hasn't hit the home run over 2 weeks after that hot start to the season. And just not making enough solid contact to really meaningfully raise his batting average. I don't know. Could be in the minority there. But Volpe's someone that's falling outside of my top 10 shortstops. But all right, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Again, if you like what you're watching, please go down there, click that big black subscribe button, subscribe to the channel, and drop this video a like. But thank you again so much for being here, and I'll see you next time.